So I've been drinking some glasses of wine, so my script isn't really as opportune to read
It's just like
currently.
a picture of a dog.
It's really, I literally drew glasses though at some point, so and with
You also
online
forgot like
platforms,
the main one.
I forget where I am right now.
You forgot time.
I did not even write that down.
To serve your community so it serves you. I don't think that you are helping the community just to be good. I think it is also a very selfish thing to do because you live on this planet, right? And we want the world to be a better place for all of us. And
No. I thought you were saying not everyone would agree that you have skills or talent.
some people probably wouldn't agree with that.
Okay.
The way to change the world is incremental change. I am not going to change the system. The system is too big, it's too vast, and I don't have the energy or the resources to change the entire thing. Now,
Right.
what I can do is I can get involved in small ways and make incremental change in my community. And if I'm doing this, you're doing this, my 4 out of 10 neighbors are doing it with me, that's
Mhm.
actually a lot of change right there.
I thought this is all something in your head, and I was like, oh my
I was
God.
having a mental breakdown and I wanted to rescue all the invisible children. And my mom was like, I'll disown you.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
I think that being involved and having passion about your community is always going to lead us together. Even if we disagree, the fact that we care is more important than the fact that some people don't care at all, in my opinion.
Wasn't
This is
Carter?
like the most obvious. It's Kennedy. He was like
Oh, I was
the
gonna
he
say
was
that
like
was gonna be
this.
the next one. I was like working
Mhm.
backwards.
After I went through 6 other presidents, I was gonna guess him.
I
Okay.
mean, you thought I only knew one president.
I knew you knew more, but I just knew it would be funny. Welcome to another week, everybody. We're experts now. My name is the one, the only Jackie, and this is my very lovely co-host, Ben. How we doing?
We are doing wonderful today, Jackie. How are you doing?
We're thriving. We're out
Love
here.
it.
We're trying to live our best lives.
Great.
I have to go back to work tomorrow, which is getting closer every second.
Let's not think
Just
about
do
it.
my thing. I know. You know what though? It's kind of been nice because like I again just got back from Texas, and so I feel like was so emotionally involved with like the funeral and everything over the weekend that I
hmm
didn't think about work once. That I
That's
actually
nice.
for once feel really refreshed and like ready to go back to work. Where like most weekends I'm like chilling at home, work pops into my mind here and there.
hmm
But like I literally was like talking to people all weekend, and then if I was even taking a break, it was like sitting in silence trying to emotionally like process the day.
Yeah.
So I really just haven't been thinking about work, which is great for me. I'm ready to deal with stuff again.
Sounds like.
Actually,
Never mind. I was gonna say something really inappropriate, but I'm not going to.
sounds like you know. So, oh my gosh. Okay.
Your
I did
cats. You should
take
just kill them.
Jupiter is being wild. He's like old as fuck. This cat's 16 and he's got the
Oh
zoomies
my
right now.
god.
I know. I
I can't
took
believe
little
he's still
bean.
wild, like old. What?
Yeah, I know. I took well, he's got like cats live like 14 to 18, so he's like got dealing
Well,
with this.
whenever he dies, I can capture one of these stray cats we have in our yard and I can mail it to you.
Okay, that's really nice offer.
Just saying.
Honestly, when he dies, like I probably get a dog, I'm thinking at this
Love
point.
that.
I just like I feel like at this like my cat's 16. I feel like at this point getting a dog would probably be like the end of him. Like particularly if I got like a young dog. So
Sure.
trying to be
How how old is Odin?
this little stinky meat up there. Um he will be 3 this year. So he's
Cute.
just a little baby, but he's a little chunky baby, we found out. So there's that.
Obesity.
He's
America's
not obese
problem.
yet,
Oh,
but he's only
borderline
2 and a
obesity.
half, or
Ooh.
almost 3. And if he's already a little chunk at almost 3, it's
Not looking
Very
good.
not looking good. Not looking good. But he's still my vet did say he is a very handsome cat. And I was like, that is right.
Do you think he was hitting on your cat?
No, it was a lady.
No. Do you
And
sorry, do you think she was hitting on your cat?
I do not think she was hitting on my cat, but I was like, do you say this to everybody? Like, do you just tell everybody that their cat's like handsome? Because I feel like Odin is handsome, but I'm like, did you, is this just like the thing you say?
What did she say?
I didn't ask her
She's like,
that.
"No, I'm hitting on your cat."
She's like, your cat, that's very nice. Let me think.
Oh, is she Russian?
She was.
You know how I feel about accents. I'm so uncomfortable when people do accents.
I'm so bad at them. I don't know
I know,
why I
that's why I'm
do that.
uncomfortable.
I know.
But I
Okay,
did
I'm
know that she
sorry.
was Russian because of that
Well, the
awkward
thing is,
accent.
I'll really only do a Russian accent at this point because all my accents sound Russian, and it's the only
Sure.
time I like don't sound racist because one, Russians typically are white people, and
Uh,
therefore it's not as offensive if I do it than if I did.
Do you know a Russian of color?
Well, there's a lot of Russians that are from like what's Siberia and stuff that look like more
Hmm.
Asian, right? Because they're like closer to those Asian countries, or like
Hmm.
sometimes a
I
little
mean,
bit
Russia
Middle
is
Eastern.
Asia.
Yeah, like, but like it looks like has more of those like, like the almond eyes versus like,
Hmm.
the blonde Russians that I think a lot of people think of.
Sure.
But I don't I can't think of somebody like I don't know, I can't reference a black
Got
Russian.
it.
I'm sure there are. I mean, they made a drink.
There's a drink called the Black Russian.
There's a drink called a black Russian and a white Russian. Haven't you ever had these?
I've heard of a White Russian. I've never heard of a Black Russian.
There's also a black Russian. My mom
What is,
drinks a white Russian and her sister used to drink a black Russian. I
so
know
what
this.
is?
All
Oh my god, that's
what
so
is in a
interesting.
black Russian?
Yeah, what is in a Black Russian?
I think it's whatever's in a white Russian, but without the white stuff. So I think it's like Kahlua
Is
and
it?
vodka.
Oh, that sounds really good, actually.
Let me double check. Two ingredient consists of vodka and coffee liqueur. Yeah,
Oh god, that
that's what my
sounds
mom liked.
wonderful. That's what your mom likes. She picked the better one.
Yeah, because well, I don't like. I have never been okay with like cream and milk in my alcohol.
No, gross.
Like, yeah, I like people like mudslides and stuff. And no, absolutely no.
No, say my brother and I had this conversation recently about milk. He like loves milk, and I'm like, oh, milk is disgusting. I used to drink it when I was younger, but it's like I can't like I feel like someone who has a glass of milk is like the same type of person that's like my favorite food is a hard boiled egg. You know what I
Ew. Okay,
mean?
I will occasionally have a glass of milk if like
Gross.
every once in a while I'll make like cookies and then like a little like just a little glass. I can't do like like the big glasses like a pint glass. I can do like a little glass of milk with just my
Nope.
cookies.
Nope.
But I
So
do
gross.
not have like a glass of milk with dinner. No.
No, disgusting. Where was I recently? And like someone, I was like at an event, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, I was at an event last week." And it's like one of the attendees. It was like breakfast time. Got themselves like a glass of milk, and I was like, "Are?" I was just shocked. I'm like, "What is happening?"
Well, what I didn't know is that I guess like I don't know if people from everywhere in Africa, if it was just like the general area where my group was from, but I was had an event and I had some folks from Africa, and I guess they have their like milk warm. And so like this woman like looked at me like I was nuts when I said like we only had like cold milk. Like she was just like so confused by why I would have that. And so I Googled it later. I was like, because then another person asked me, and I was like, I have never been asked in all my years. I've never been asked for hot milk, like at an event. I've
But
just
that's I
never.
mean, like, I've heard hot milk though. Like that's not
I've heard hot
abnormal.
milk. I've never been asked for one for it at an event, and I've
I've
never
never
been
been
like,
asked for milk at an event. Period.
yes, yes, I have.
You,
But it is rare, and but I've certainly never been asked for hot milk, and then I've never been looked at like I'm crazy for not having hot milk because I was like, is this like because they were looking at me like I was nuts, and I was like, is this like this has to be like a normal thing? And I googled it, and it was absolutely a normal thing there.
I would say it's a normal thing if more than one person has come up to you and asked you
It
for.
was the same event. It was like the same
No,
day.
I'm
It
just.
was
I
like
know, but I'm saying like yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I had to know, like, I was like, is this like, I don't know. Like, and it was at breakfast. I guess it's at breakfast. That was pretty normal. But like, I guess I've heard that, like, a glass of warm milk to put kids to sleep.
The sleep, right? Yeah,
So the thing is,
or hot
milk,
chocolate.
milk, milk before we pasteurize it,
Hmm.
people drank hot because that's how you got rid of like the bad stuff in it.
Mm.
And so, like, once we started pasteurizing it, after it's pasteurized, it needs to be kept cold. And so, actually, that's why we have cold milk.
Was it fermented?
Ew. Um, okay.
What? Jackie, what do you have for us today?
We're talking about how to do your civic duty and how to get
Right?
involved with your community and
Love
for
it. Let's
folks.
we're gonna go away from hot fermented milk and talk about
Mm,
civic duty.
we're going to talk about volunteering. We're going to talk
Oh,
about
we love
what you do in
volunteering.
your community. I have always been very civically minded. I really care about doing volunteer work. I really think that it is my responsibility as an American, as a person in society, as somebody who has skills and talents, that I really believe that it is my responsibility to give back. And I know that not everybody agrees with me there. So I don't really
On
push.
what part
I don't
don't they
think
agree with
everybody
you?
agrees that like it's your responsibility to give back. I
Hmm.
think some people think it's nice.
No, no, no.
Um,
I thought you were saying not everyone would agree that you have skills or talent.
some people probably wouldn't agree with that.
Okay, okay.
But
No,
no,
that yes. To your serious point, yes.
yeah, I think that some people like don't think that you need to contribute to society to live in society. Some people don't even want to live in society. They want to do their own thing, whatever it may be. And that is their right, and I support that. I don't think necessarily that everyone has to do what I do. I do think that it is my responsibility. And I guess that comes from, and this is something I don't talk about a lot. I guess I've realized recently of like getting sick, and when I was in my 20s and I didn't know what illnesses I had. There was like points where I was like, am I dying? Like I don't know what's happening. And so I think I remember like looking at my life and really thinking about what I wanted it to mean if it was going to be short. Like
Hmm.
what was I going to impact the world, or how was I going to do that? And I just remember always having this resounding voice saying like I want the world to be a better place because I was here.
Hmm.
And I still really live by that, right? Like, and I think that's why I do so much work for the community. I volunteer so much. Sometimes people don't agree with the things I volunteer with. That's okay too. That is their right. But I do think it's important, even if it's a thing that I don't agree with, that people get involved. And like, I think that it's really important to contribute to society.
I agree. I think there's something to be said for like I've only recently volunteered for an organization, but it's something to be said like if you're passionate about something, it's not necessarily about the finances or like the what you get, not what you get out of it monetarily. It's what you can do to help better yourself in certain ways and also better your community and help others. And so like I am volunteering with a creative organization here in Sacramento. And so like I'm networking and I'm learning more from other people, but I'm also helping to bring other creatives together in the community. And I think it's great. I agree with you. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be about what you get out of it monetarily is what it comes down to.
Well, like I think that's my second point, and I'll kind of, not my second point, my second bucket, if you will, and I'll kind of jump there first because I think it's coming up more naturally, which is there's different types of volunteering and community betterment, right? I think everyone always sees it as I have to give my time. I think that's the most common thing that people think about, and I think the second most common thing is money. So if we talk about those things, I'm defining time as some like the actual time in your day that you can give away. There's always tasks that need manpower or woman power or people power,
X
um
power.
right, human power, right, and
Yes.
things like that are like a soup kitchen, right? They need people actually serving up those dishes every day.
Mhm.
Beach cleanups is another great one. If you care about the environment, you need people to show up and actually do that work. Another kind of great example is tutoring, right? Maybe you care about education and kids. You need people to show up and do that, right? We've tried videos, we've tried AI, we've tried all these different things. There is something about the human showing up interaction with each other that really helps kids learn. So
The human
that's
connection.
yeah, that's what time is, right? Actually giving your time any way that you can give it. Money is another one. You give what you have. It's a lot of money because you have that, right? Maybe you are somebody who works a lot, right? And you are like, hey, I work 100 hours a week. I have plenty of money, but I don't have any time. That's great, amazing, love it. Do that. Give to who you care about, even if it's in small amounts. One of my favorite examples of um, small amounts of funding going a really far way is Obama's 2008 campaign was mostly funded by small donations. My
Mm.
grandma sending in $5. I remember I was a college student. It was well, I wasn't a college. I was a community college student, and I'm using that term loosely. I was enrolled, but I remember I gave like $10, right? Like, and that campaign was won on the majority of small donations, where most political campaigns were won on pretty big ones.
I feel like that. Like, what are your thoughts on like the conservative side for those who are like volunteering and giving money to like the NRA or something like con- uh, like deconstructive?
I don't necessarily think it's deconstructive. I think that there's a variety of opinions and passions in this country. I think that the greatest thing that this country can offer is our ability to decide what we care about and fight for that. Do I wish that everyone agreed with me? Absolutely, right? It would make my world so much easier. But the beauty of this country is the nuance, is like the difference in our opinions, right? Like I actually want there to be an NRA, right? Because you're making me think about problems that I wouldn't necessarily think about. I think
Hmm.
people being on different sides of things is what pushes true progress forward. So, do I wish that there were some things like jihad, for example? I wish people wouldn't give their time to jihad. That's a really violent thing. It's not really ended well for anybody. That's a really hard one for me to swallow. But I do believe in people's right to opinion. So it's a really hard one for me. When it comes to the liberal conservative thing, I do want people to give their time. I want people to give to churches. I think that being involved and having passion about your community is always going to lead us together. Even if we disagree, the fact that we care is more important than the fact that some people don't care at all, in my opinion.
Hmm. I always felt like the people who have no opinion about anything are the worst people. Not the worst people, but like it's always more difficult to like have I just those people I seem to be more difficult, or when people have no opinion about someone
I'll
or
say
something.
I'm okay with people not having an opinion as long as you don't complain. Right? Like what I can't stand is people
Don't
who
complain if you don't
complain
have
a
a
lot.
solution.
Yeah, like who complain a lot and then don't vote. Who complain a
Hmm.
lot and don't get involved in their community. And actually, so this actually goes into some of the other things I'm talking about.
Okay,
I
sorry, I'm
broke it
jumping
into
ahead.
well, I broke it into a few things that you can do instead of time and money as the most popular things. Some people are 22, you're working 100 hours a week, and you're just barely making it. So you can't give time or money. So there's other options. You can sign petitions. You can do this online or in person. You can do it outside the grocery store, or you can go on. And I think there's like change.org or vote.org, or there's something like that where you can go on and just look at petitions and be like, oh, yeah, I think that we should repeal what's happening in Alabama or California. I don't think that we should have legal weed, right? And you can go and sign petitions. It's a really quick and easy thing if you don't have a lot to contribute. Voting is another one that we were just kind of highlighting. You can get involved with your country, right? Or you can even get involved in a campaign, right? Maybe you are, you know, knocking on doors. Even if I don't agree with you politically, I still think that's great. Get involved, contribute to society.
I don't want anyone knocking on my door. Just
Then
saying.
have a no solicitor sign, okay?
I really should get that, but I just don't want people to come to my house.
Well, and the other two, I'm just ignoring you. The other
Okay.
two are two that I've kind of split, which people could think are the same, and I'll define how they're different. So
Hmm.
there's skill and there's service. Skill is a skill that you have or something that you can be trained for. For example, when I was a sexual assault advocate, I got trained 100 hours or 80 hours, whatever I got trained for. I then had a skill that I could provide, right? Maybe you're a singer and you can sing in a chorus to the elderly folks, right? That is a skill that you have. Maybe you're good at painting. It's a, these kind of hobbies can be skills a lot of time. And you paint for kids in the hospitals, right? That is a skill that you can provide. A service, on the other hand, is something that you are probably a professional in. So something that you maybe do for work or you are highly trained for this. So like lawyers give their time, nurses give their time, event planners, like I often offer my time as an event planner to like different organizations I'm involved with. You were kind of saying that you're involved in this professional organization and you're now giving them your time, right? You are providing them a service that you are able to kind of, you already have. So a skill is something that I think really anyone can do. Like, yeah, now I'm trained 80 hours and I can show up and do this. Whereas a
Hmm.
service is something that you are highly trained in and not a lot of people can offer.
Hmm. I love that.
Yeah. So
Was
those
that
are a bunch of different ways.
I was like, that was an opening for me to give a comment.
Well, I felt like I was talking a lot and I was like,
You've
do
been
you
talking a
have
lot,
words?
but I love it. I mean, it's wonderful. I think it's good for people to give back to the community. I think since moving to Sacramento, I've only recently found that I love Sacramento. Not recently, but I love Sacramento. I love my community. I live in Oak Park. It's wonderful. I want to give back. I feel like it's not necessarily volunteering. Never mind. Never mind. Continue.
But like maybe you run for a political office. That's a civic duty. That's community betterment, right?
Hmm.
Like there is more to than just volunteering, right? Like
Yes.
community betterment might be opening up part of your yard to have a community garden for folks
Hmm.
to come around, right? Like there's a lot that you can do that doesn't necessarily check the box of volunteer or civic duty. There's a lot of things that you can do to better your community that you live in.
And would you categorize like supporting small business under your like local small business under that?
I think that if you are making a strong conscious effort, I would say yes. Like, right? If you're just
Hmm.
like, yeah, when I walk into a store and it says I'm a small business, I feel good about myself. I don't think that's community betterment. But I think
Sure.
if you're sitting there and you're like, I need to go to the grocery store, I can go to this brand name grocery store, or I'm consciously choosing to go to the mom and pop store down the way.
Hmm.
I think that is
Sure.
community betterment.
Yes, for sure. I felt like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like during the pandemic, I feel like there's obviously a lot of Asian hate crime, and I felt like, hey, I need to go support these Asian-owned restaurants, like because I they deserve that support, and I tried to make a conscious effort to support those restaurants that were Asian owned, so that I can show that you're not alone. We're like you're here. Like we're here for you.
Yeah, I think that's community betterment, right? Like I think that is even if you're posting online, right? And you're just trying to share a message, like or reposting an article, right? I think
Hmm.
they're all small steps. And people sit here and we kind of said, I don't think I can make the difference that I want to make in the world. And like, hear me now, hear me clear. The way to change the world is incremental change. I
Hmm.
am not going to change the system. The system is too big, it's too vast, and I don't have the energy or the resources to change the entire thing. Now,
Right.
what I can do is I can get involved in small ways and make incremental change in my community. And if I'm doing this, you're doing this, my 4 out of 10 neighbors are doing it with me, that's
Hmm.
actually a lot of change right there. That
Yeah.
is, for example, I've been doing CASA. I'm trying to get anybody I know, especially a man, involved in CASA because there's not a lot of male identifying people in CASA, and there's a lot of kids that are male identifying in the system, right? So, like,
Yep.
spreading the word helps too.
Yeah.
Anything works.
I'm all
Okay.
about that. I love it.
We're going to go back to point one because I skipped that. But how do
Okay.
you find what you're passionate about. I think that's another thing that people really struggle with. People are like, I want to get involved. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get involved. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I care about. It's hard. I think some of the best things is to like really reflect, like, what do you do most of the time, like, and what like really makes you feel excited. I've been involved in the LGBT community for years. I've been involved in sexual assault, domestic violence advocacy for years. Both of those come from personal experiences. My brother is gay. My dad was likely had some gender identity issues. You know, I've had a lot of friends that are gay, and it's just, I am very passionate about that community. I'm also a sexual assault survivor. Um, I'm very passionate about that community. I identify with that community. So I want to work with that community. I just got involved with CASA. I feel like I was helped out a lot as a kid, and I want to help out some kids. So I think there's a lot of different ways to find what you're passionate about, and then like think about societal issues, right? Like, do you care about like the next proposition of California? Like, right, there was just Prop 1, which dealt with mental health. Maybe that just really inspires you and you're like, oh my God, I've been thinking that California needed this forever. Go get involved with that campaign.
I think that's great. Was going to add on to that too, because I feel like we're talking a lot about, like you mentioned, we're talking a lot about it, like human civic duty, and you touched on it briefly about environmental uh, duty as well. I want to talk about like animal, like reaching, like helping animals, and my dog passed away last year because of cancer, and so like technically I'm working for a company dog sitting, but it's helping me kind of grow from that loss, which was really hard. But I'm helping other people like that need that like person that will love their pet so much to like that they trust you to like leave it for them for like a couple days or a week or so. Not to say like I do get paid, but there's also pet organizations, right? There's in Sacramento, there's a Front Street Animal Shelter that was always looking for volunteers to foster or to help clean out crates or do whatever. So I just want to touch on that too. I know you're teaching me, but like I feel like I'm teaching you.
No, I think I think that like we all see the world from our own lens. Like, right? Like I was
Hmm.
just speaking about the places that I'm passionate about, but like
Absolutely.
I don't think about animals. Like I obviously love animals. That's not the first organization that I typically get involved with.
Right.
And I don't know as much about those opportunities. And you're totally right. They always need like dog walkers or cat
Hmm.
feeders or whatever it may be. I'm sure if you're in like rural America, you might get to like horse feed or something more fun than cats and dogs. It might be a
I would
little
love that. That sounds amazing. Honestly, I also am thinking of an idea for a future podcast is how to take care of a dog. I'm gonna write that shit down.
the puppy episode
Wait, wait,
when
wait.
Ben gets a puppy.
Oh my God, stop. It's too soon. Okay. Continue.
Okay. And how do you get involved in your community, you might say? Like, how do you actually find where you're going? You know what you're passionate about now. You've said, okay, I care about animals and I have time and I have, I can sign petitions. Those are the two things that I can do. Well, you can look up on online platforms to see volunteer opportunities. There's a ton of apps now that kind of specialize in an area or synthesize remote opportunities. Or, you know, another great way is use your job. A lot of works are willing to like let their employees do a volunteer day. Okay, that might be perfect for you. Do you have some suggestions, right? They always appreciate those. So start looking for that. Maybe you attend community events, you're networking, offer your skills to local organizations. What I do every time is because a lot of nonprofits are run on shoestring budgets with not enough people. A lot of time I'll reach out to multiple organizations in my area because not everybody will get back to you right away. Not everyone has the resources to really stay on top of their emails or their phone calls or whatever requests are coming in, even if it's offers for help. So reach out to a bunch of different organizations, see what opportunities they have. If you're religious, typically churches have quite a bit of opportunities and some social things. I'm sure the same thing would be with synagogues and mosques. You can look into if you have kids. Do they have school events? Is their soccer league need anything? And then another great one is like help your neighbors, right? Like, do you see your neighbor that like needs their lawn mowed because they broke their arm last month? And like, it's just something that you can do to better your community. Yeah, do it. Like, I last night on the way back from Texas, my mom complained about something to a flight attendant. She had her whole right, but she was just kind of being like, the person making a complaint on the airport, right? And I could tell that like my mom was just having a bad day and she was just letting it out on someone, right? It's on a flight attendant. I don't agree with that either. Anyways, so like there kind of was this like whole moment where it was kind of like awkward and whatever. Later, I said to the flight attendant, I was like, sorry, her mom died, you know? And he was just like, you could tell like it hit him right in the feels because he was like a little sassy back in a moment. And like not mean, but just like you could tell he was had a long day probably. And you could just see this moment of understanding between both of them. Like I'm sure they both had lost, right? And like he wrote my mom this really nice card, and then
Love
he gave
that.
some of the little like pilot wings, you know. And my mom's sister loved angels, and so it was like such
Oh,
a sign to my mom. And it was like this beautiful moment, and they hugged at the end, and I was just like, this moment of kindness like changed everything for my mom on such a
mhm.
bad day, right? Like it's little things like that. Like sometimes we think about so big, right? So macro on how to change things and help the world when little things like that can really
To make a
help.
difference for someone else.
Yeah,
I
right?
I I remember that. So like soon after I got married, my cousin was in a car, like in a motorcycle accident. And so like I went to the hospital and I'm like sitting in the waiting room, just like waiting to go see him. He's fine. But I remember there was this family there and someone had came out and then like they all started bawling. And so like I felt like I knew that they may have lost someone. And so like I didn't know what to do, but all I could say was like, can I offer you a hug? And that's like all that they needed. And
Yeah.
so like that's all you have to do is like be a good person. Like just and like you don't have to like go out of your way to like volunteer at somewhere, some place or like go do something, but like just be a good person and like understand that everyone's emotions are their own. They all have their own stories and just to be a human.
Well, and like, yeah, like even just like the opposite of that, right? Where like I've thought about like when I have driven, like the day I drove back from the doctor to work after finding out I might have a brain tumor, I am, I totally cut somebody off that day because I was like not even thinking, like I wasn't even here, right? And like, you can also look at the world as an assumption that someone's trying to do something bad to you, or you can sit there and be like, yeah, that person might just be having a really awful day and like give them a buy in your own head and it changes your own like your own perception on reality and like what you're dealing with that day. Like give
Right.
everyone a break
Yeah.
or don't. I've also been
However,
an asshole.
I mean, yeah, I was just saying some people are just complete assholes and dicks. So there's also that. So it is hard, but like, don't take that as an excuse for you to be an asshole or a dick to someone else.
You know what? Sometimes I've been an asshole too, so I get it. I get it. I get it.
I get it.
We've all been there. All right.
We've all been there.
So, how do you find nonprofit organizations that are local to the listener? So, like what I said before, look on the internet, search Nupai, do social media platforms. You can typically like look in your like city, like nonprofit organizations in Zionsville, Indiana, right? Like nonprofit organization. We have a friend who's a listener who might live there, who might pick up on that. Love you,
Is that
girl.
a real place?
Uh huh.
Oh, okay,
And I have
cool.
a friend who lives there.
Hi, friend in Zionsville, Georgia.
Indiana, but so
Oh,
close.
Indian.
So,
Whoopsies.
you can look it up by county, you can look it up by like geographical area. You can also say like, "Hey, I don't want to do something locally. I just heard about child soldiers and Doffer. I don't know. And like you're just really inspired by this. This is like an example of me when I was 19 and I decided that I wanted to work with the Invisible Children who had made a film. And I was very inspired by it. And I wanted to move to Africa and work with the Invisible Children. And my mom said she would disown me because I was going to die.
I'm sorry. This is another thing that I have to unpack. There was a film about invisible children in Africa?
So, like, they're called the Invisible Children because they're kidnapped at like a young age and then they're turned into
Okay.
child soldiers.
Got it. Okay. I feel like okay, got it. Nope.
And
Got
I
it.
saw a documentary about the organization who worked to rescue the Invisible Children and
And
get
you
them
wanted
out
to
of
join that organization.
and
Okay,
Doffer.
cool. I thought this is all something in your head, and I was like, oh my
I was
God.
having a mental breakdown and I wanted to rescue all the invisible children. And my mom was like, I'll disown you.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. I mean, not cool, but like, I got it. Like, I
You're like, this all
understand.
checks out, Jackie has
Like, yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
been insane. Um,
Yeah.
okay, and so here's a trick. This is a pro tip for your friends, right? This is how you can tell this is not an episode that I just researched. This is something that I really, really know. When you decide to get involved with an organization, look up their track record. If they are a nonprofit, you can Google what they do with their finances. You can use things like Charity Navigators, Guide Stars. Look up what people say about the organization. Now, sometimes you'll see things depending on your political views. If you're really conservative and you want to get involved with certain movements, you might have some naysayers, right? You might have some people who don't agree with you. Same thing with me when I got involved with the LGBT community, right? But then if you really look at stuff, you might see, hey, they're not actually putting any funds into the community when they say that they're, for example, all those charity organizations that were used to be like, it's only 12 cents a day and you give us like 40 cent, like $46 a month and this child in Africa gets fed, right? There was a certain point when there was all these scandals about those places because you were paying like, I don't know, 40 cents a day or whatever, but only like 3 cents of that was going to the child in Africa and the rest was going to the organization, right?
Mhm.
So you want to look up,
Is that
are they
true?
doing, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Ugh, now
You
I
want to
gotta
look
get
up,
my 6 cents back.
yeah, it was really messed up. And there are tons of organizations who do that, who say
Hmm.
that they are doing something and taking either people's money or federal dollars because you can get grants from the government
Hmm.
and they are squandering it. And it's really, really awful. But if you are a 501c3, which is what a nonprofit is, I think you can do like a 501c1. And I think there's a couple other
It's
variations
like
of it. But
403B, I think, right?
yeah, yeah. There's like, I don't know too much. I've
All
never,
the numbers and letters, yeah.
yeah, it's like the difference between like an LLC and all the others, right? Like there
Yeah, yeah.
changes like your tax status or whatever. But if you are one of those and you're like filed with the government, then you have to publish your finances and a report, an annual report at the end of every year, and it has to be published. So look into that, right? Figure out, hey, like CASA was a really easy one for me, right? Like CASA's always been very prevalent. It's backed by judges in every county. It's got a really good reputation. Pretty easy to, want to engage with them.
Hmm.
There are other nonprofits that have people who just got out of prison and maybe it's a prison like advocacy group and you're like that's exactly who I want to be running that kind of nonprofit. Great. Sometimes it's somebody who just got out of prison and they're like doing like children's rights and maybe they were like a child molester and you're like, "Huh, is this really a nonprofit or is this like a cover for some sort of creepy thing?"
So,
Right?
like,
So
do your research.
look into who runs the organization. Do you agree
Hmm.
with it? Is it in the news? If so, what are people saying? Like sometimes you'll see something and you'll be like, oh wow, this organization is being like really pulled through the mud. I think there's a lot of people who feel really strongly about what's happening in Alabama with kind of abortion rights being removed and it affecting IVF, for
Hmm.
example, right? So you might see this in the news and then want to really go get involved in that because you're seeing what's happening. It's a reputable source from the news. You trust that, right? Like that's not a bad idea. Um,
Right.
but do some research. Check them out.
Smart. I'm putting
Um,
glasses next to that note.
and then just kind of look at like what's out there. I think again, like churches are a really great one. Like religious organizations really have a lot of opportunities. Like if you're looking to go global, a lot of churches have a sister organization in another country that you can work with. Doctors Without Borders. Like there's a lot of opportunities for you to go out and see the world. What is it? Greenpeace, Peace Corps, right? You could join the Peace Corps. You can go do.
There's something called Greenpeace too.
I don't know what. Okay, there is. What is Greenpeace?
You're so good at Google. I have so many windows open that I just get anxious. I don't know
I'm typing
what
on the
window
wrong
to use.
computer though.
Here, I'll look. I'll look.
I got it. I'm already there. Okay. Greenpeace is a global network of independent campaigning organizations that use peaceful protest and creative confrontation to expose global environmental
That's what it is.
stuff.
There's Greenpeace and there's Peace Corps, and then
So
there's
the Peace Corps
Greensleeves.
is like I'm pretty sure a Peace Corps is like a government agency where like you sign up for them, you do 3 years, and the government like deletes your debt, like your student
Whoa.
loans.
How come no one told this to me?
Because you
How
have
dare
to like I know people who like worked at the LGBT center, but like because they worked through there, they made like so little money. You make like
you?
no money. Peace.
Greenpeace's headquarters in Amsterdam. It's fun.
That's not surprising. I want like the Wikipedia for the Peace Corps. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it is a program the United States government that trains and deploys volunteers to provide international development assistance. So
Mm.
this was okay, guess what president it was made by? Can you name
How
more than one president?
I can name more than one president. Was it was it Bush, old one?
No, that's a
No,
big
was it a
difference.
Democrat?
Yeah, of course it was a
Carter?
Democrat. No.
Wasn't
This is
Carter?
like the most obvious. It's Kennedy. He was like
Oh, I was
the
gonna
he
say
was
that
like
was gonna be the
this.
next one. I was like working
Mhm.
backwards.
After I went through 6 other presidents, I was gonna guess him.
I
Okay.
mean, you thought I only knew one president.
I knew you knew more, but I just knew it would be funny. Okay. The official goal of the Peace Corps is to assist developing countries by
Mhm,
providing skilled workers in fields such as education, health, entrepreneurship, women's empowerment, and community development.
mhm,
Volunteers are American citizens, typically with a college degree, who are assigned to specific projects in certain countries based on their qualifications and their experience. And then
mhm.
there's something about like if you spend a certain amount of time in it, like they delete your college debt. But it's like a
How
significant
ignorance
amount of
different
time
topic.
and you make very little money.
Sure, but you like live abroad, don't you?
So, okay, maybe I'm thinking about something different then.
Doctors Without Borders.
No, because this says it's in other countries, but the people I knew that did it were in the
But they're
U.S.
always like, aren't they usually in low income places though?
Well, it was Sacramento.
Oh wow, that is not a low income place.
College. Well, no, and that's true too. If you work in public service for 10 years, you can get your federal loans removed. I've always known that because I did work in a volunteer place or a charitable
Hmm.
organization, but I only did 9 months, so
Um,
it wasn't long enough.
uh, yeah, that sounds
AmeriCorps, that's what I was thinking of. There's Peace Corps and
AmeriCorps.
AmeriCorps, and AmeriCorps is US based.
There we go.
I know
I got it.
I know it has cores in it somewhere. Okay. And that's oh wait, that's everything I have except a joke for you, Ben.
That seems so inappropriate for such a serious topic.
Okay, how do volunteers communicate during a community cleanup?
They don't.
They trash talk to keep each other motivated.
So funny. I
I
love
think
a
you're
good
so
joke.
funny.
I love a good dad joke.
I do love dad jokes.
Me
That's my
too.
type. Dad
Ooh,
jokes,
dads are
dad
jokes.
dad personalities, like corny, like guys that
Cute.
fix your car. That's who I want to date.
We're gonna find someone for you that
Call
works
me.
in civic duty and then is a dad.
We're never gonna find someone for me. I'm gonna be real. It's just doomed to die alone at this point.
There's that positive attitude we all love. Do I need to tell you what I learned?
Do I need to tell you what? Why am I doing accents today? Oh, it's you. I feel like you bring this out of me. It's all your fault.
Well, it's because I change accents all the time. It's something I did when I was younger with my friends, and this
Oh my god.
just
The
happened.
second I was in Texas, I started like saying y'all and like I almost had
Ugh.
a twang. I
Because it
I
starts
catch
off as a
them.
joke, like where you're making fun of them, and then you're like, "Oh my god, it's a trick. They're trying
I do it
to."
wherever I go. I start to talk like the people. I pick up accents
Samesies. Oh my god.
really quick.
I do that. I do that when I hear Spanish sometimes, and I'll like say something in Spanish. I'm like, wait a second, my Spanish sucks. All right,
Okay.
civic duty. Find your passion is number one. There's also different types of community betterment, which I've been drinking some glasses of wine, so my script isn't really as opportune to read
It's just like
currently.
a picture of a dog.
It's really I literally drew glasses though at some point, so uh, stuff. There's different types of community betterment though. There's time and or money. There's beach cleanup. There are soup kitchens. There's tutoring. However, I wrote tutoring to look like tucturing. So, but I
Okay,
knew it was
you
tutoring.
also wrote down my examples, not my categories.
Right. Well, those are things. The things you can do. So, wait, here we are. No, types of community betterment. Money. You can donate money. There are petitions. Not a lot of people have a lot of money, so like that's a good way to like sign and to like get on board with something. There's voting. There's also skill and service community betterment. So like skills, you either have the skill or you can be trained to be in that skill. There's also services where you are kind of pretty knowledgeable in that, and so you can lend your services to those organizations to help them. You can run for office, which is a huge commitment, and probably 1% of listeners will do that.
Less
I
than
would say
that.
less than that.
Not even 1% of 1%, but yes.
Correct. Yeah. You could spread the word um, and knock on my door. If you do that, though, I will be really
You said
disappointed.
don't knock on your door. Now you're
I
sending
know.
mixed messages.
I
So
know. I'm setting. That's what I do when I'm at the bar. I send mixed messages all the time. I'm like, come to my
as you
door,
do
but
as a
like,
friend
don't.
do. Okay.
You're welcome. It's because you have
Do
to
we
read
remember
in between.
when what was her name? Rebel Wilson got in all that trouble. Did you ever watch the Pitch Perfect movies?
Yeah, I love the Pitch Perfect
I do too.
movies.
But like, do you remember when she got in trouble because like she makes the joke in the movie of like, no, I don't want to sleep with you, and then
Oh,
like
like
he just
lesbian.
got
Oh
mad.
yeah. I love it.
Well, no,
Now she's a
yeah,
lesbian. I love it.
no, that
Makes me
she was
happy.
doing that to a
Oh.
guy. Rebel Wilson is Fat Amy in the show,
Hmm.
and
She's
she's
no longer fat. So
no,
now
she
she's
looks
just
great.
Amy.
Well, she's not Amy anymore because she's not in Pitch Perfect anymore. Rebel Wilson is her real name.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so she was. It's the second movie after she already hooked up with Boomer, and she's like, or maybe it's the first one, but she's like,
Did they actually
no,
hook up? There's like no like evidence that they hooked up.
yeah, they're like hooking up the entire like movies. They're like a
No, they're
couple.
not. No.
Th-
There's no
You
evidence.
literally
It's like
said
when you kill off a character, like you have to see the body in order for that character to be dead. It's like 101.
okay.
Anyways, there's online platforms.
Yeah, but what are you using the online platform for Ben?
Um,
That's not a type of
you can.
community
Well,
betterment.
sometimes
Online platforms.
oh, you can share and retweet things to like show how much you care about something and like something that's passionate about you. I'm going to reshare this Instagram post. yada yada yada,
Even
or
if you don't
TikTok.
have time to volunteer for somewhere, you could tell other people to.
Yeah, do it, bitch. um, there are remote opportunities that are available for you. We're kind of like digressing off the different types of. I just
Yeah,
honestly just made a list of things that you said, and so
I
now they're
feel
all
like
bleeding together.
everything below this is a category.
Everything is all this. So we're digressing now. So I stopped the after I said run for office. That was a category. That was the end. No, sorry. Spreading the word is also, which kind of runs in with no, and so spreading the word bleeds in with
You also
online
forgot like
platforms.
the main one.
I forget where I am right now.
You you forgot time.
I did not even write that down.
And it's like I literally was like, and the most common one, time. And you were like, you gave the examples of it, tutoring, and you gave beach
Okay, yeah.
cleanup and soup kitchen, but you did not give time.
Also, time is also a type of commitment that you can give your time to people. I'm writing that
And
down now.
time.
And time. There are work suggestions. Oh, talk to your work about suggestions.
You can suggest a place for your
Yeah.
volunteer day for your work.
Not every place has a volunteer day, but it could be worth asking and trying to get started at your organization. There's different types of events and networking you can get involved with.
Did we do a volunteer day when you were the office
Yeah, we
admin?
did. Yeah,
What
we
did we
did.
do?
We went to a children's hospital.
Is that what we did?
Yes.
I thought
And
we
it
did that
was
with Rachel,
who's Rachel?
the admin before you.
No. We did it. We went to the children's hospital, and I was because it was nice because was like able to use my Spanish a little bit, so that was fun for me.
And did we
Um,
do this like paper thing?
no idea what you said.
Like we attached like tissue paper, like colored tissue
Oh
paper
yeah,
to the
that's something. It
thing.
was like it's like bleeding tissue paper, and so like we created like dyed like tie dye paper and stuff. It was fun. Yeah.
That was fun.
Um, and there's all the types of organizations you can get involved with your school. You can get involved with your neighbors and help them out. There's social media, which also seems to blend in with online platforms.
So these are all how to get involved with your community and how to
Oh,
find
sorry.
places in your local area.
So I'm used to taking notes like on a computer, and for some reason I was like, a notebook is the best way to go.
I like to take
So
my notes in a notebook as well, but it does make more sense to do in a computer since that, we're
it's
both.
a lot easier, and I should do that because that's what I do every day. So yeah, these are the types of ways how you can do it. Is that right? How? Yep, you can get involved with social media. You can Google different ways to do it. Get with your community. One thing I do want to highlight, I have to preface this. Preface this is I have to preface my preface. Um, Look at the track record of the organization that you would like to volunteer with, because sometimes they can be misleading, and you do not want to volunteer with an organization that is misleading. And I
Or give your money
highlighted,
to.
or give your money
That's
to,
another
absolutely.
one.
Yeah, or give your money to. And I prefaced this last point, which kind of matches the second to last point. I even put glasses here. Do research.
Yeah. Because it's smart.
Just
That's why you
it
put the
is
glasses there.
super smart. I mean, I'm not wearing mine right now, but I have contacts in. But
I
research.
agree. I think that you gave a great sum up.
Thank
I
you.
think that there's a lot of good stuff in there. I think people should go do some stuff.
I agree.
That's
I
cool.
think it's very important to give back to your community. Love that.
So what I want to leave the listeners with, right? As
Yes.
I think
Wait.
these
Wait. I want to say that, Jackie. What would you like to leave the listeners with today?
I think mainly that there's a bajillion different ways to get involved, right? And there's a bajillion different ways to serve your community so it serves you. I don't think that you are helping the community just to be good. I think it is also a very selfish thing to do because you live on this planet, right? And we want the world to be a better place for all of us. And
Hmm. And
don't
those that come
worry.
after us,
Mhm. And
if it
don't
lasts long.
worry if you're like, "Hey, I wanna get involved, but I'm worried that, like, maybe my conservative parents or my liberal friends won't like what I'm doing." Doing anything to be involved with your community is great, right? Like, you
Hmm.
should always want to do things to make the world a better place and to be a part of society.
Hmm.
So, be inspired, figure out what you wanna do some research, call a bunch of people,
Yes.
get it all done, but just mainly get involved.
Agreed. I think everyone should do it. Give back
That
to
was
the place
21
that you
points to
live.
1, though. Mhm.
I don't know what that means.
I just was like, my short synopsis was like a laundry list. I'm
Cute.
reading a book right now that's like essentially about how you get ideas to stick. It's called Made to Stick, and like it's about how
Hmm.
you get ideas to kind of like a logo, for example, is because that's something that we're working through, or
Hmm.
why certain ideas stick around and others, like certain slogans or whatever.
Hmm.
So essentially, one of the worst things that you can do is give a really long laundry list, which
Yes.
is what I just did. So
That's
get
probably
involved.
why my notes sucked.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
my fault.
honestly, I blame you.
Yeah, it's definitely my fault.
It's always the
Okay.
woman's fault.
All right, everyone, go find your community. Go do some stuff in community. Ben's gonna go have a good night. I am going to go to sleep because I'm tired.
Oh,
But I love your face, and thanks for
I
hanging
love
out
your
for another night,
face.
everybody. Oh, I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, I thought. Oh, yeah. We love your faces,
I
community.
got you so good. I was saying to you. I
Oh
also
my god, you got me. Ah.
You have to take like I can't. You take it too far, Benny boy.
Do I?
Benny, no, you never take it far enough.
Great. I'll take my clothes off next time.
Please do.
One of these episodes, I'm just gonna film it with my shirt off.
Some might like that. Some might not. I don't know, Ben. We'll find out. We haven't launched a single episode with us as a pair yet, so it might just fail completely. Or this
Maybe
might.
we'll just confuse people.
Well, I'm just gonna tell everyone that you're still Rebecca. I'm just gonna start referring to you as Rebecca.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I would die. I'm so
Oh,
funny.
Bex.
Oh.
That's not what she does. That's what Ben does.
That's what I do. But that's
Bex
what
is
the
stoic.
new.
You'd have to be like she is so stoic, and I sit
Yeah,
over
but
here and I'm
she's
like,
more charismatic than I am. She's just like, I don't
but
know.
she's
No,
like
I'm just.
stoic. Like literally, when I used to like edit our videos, like she'd be sitting there like this, like in the same place the entire screen, and I'm always like, "Hello, like what am I
She's a
doing?"
professional, and I am
I know I'm not.
uh,
I'm not.
a mess.
I'm an
Yeah,
amateur, but we're
same.
experts now.
We are experts now. Go give back to your civics
Civic,
duties.
your duty.
Civic it hard.
Thanks for watching another episode of We're Experts Now. We couldn't do this without you.
If you like this episode and want to support the show, like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And pass along your favorite episodes to your friends, your family, coworkers, random people you meet on the bus, and just about anyone you think might want to be an expert too.
Have ideas for something you want us to investigate? Then send us an email at we'reexpertspod@gmail.com. That's WEREXPERTSPOD@gmail.com.
And don't forget to stay curious.